Hello.
Hola, hola. Hello,
Ah,
Luke. Hello, Lucas. How are you doing?
all good. Todo bien.
Thank you for hosting the meeting and getting us to share and talk. It's very kind of you.
Yeah, yeah. It's good to have you here. I know you're very experienced in these kinds of calls and I was going to say open discussions, but I know you and Sebastian usually do more like a live back and forth between you guys, right?
Yeah, I like this is nice because we'll be able to hear each other. Like it's
Yeah,
when it's unidirectional, like even if it could be then we address something we always are missing some other point of views. So thank you.
yeah. I was just on a Cardano over coffee as well. 2 hours of banter. A lot of people jumping in, doing the rounds, and I keep thinking how things are going to be different between what you guys do, what Cardano over coffee does. Army of Spies, for example, was just doing a number of big YouTube live sessions discussing governance, and so jumping right into it, this kind of idea started because of going to the constitutional amendments working group and seeing the same type of um, it's just one space, you know. It's a discussion. It's going around the bush, and people try to give feedback, but the people in charge of that room are focused on doing something, and that's okay. If those guys in that room want to do that, let's have other rooms for other people to do different formats and different discussion, right? So let's see how it goes. Welcome as well to Meek. I'm not familiar with your name. If you want to say hi, jump in. Gintama, the same.
Hello.
Hey, have you been in? So this was Gintama, right?
Yeah,
Okay, nice to have you here.
same.
I'm familiar with you. I'm very curious about the work you've been. For example, you're familiar with what I was discussing about the
Yeah, yeah,
the constitutional amendments work, right? I know
yeah.
you have some documents around that. Welcome, Jonah, as well.
Welcome, Jana.
So you'll notice I already have fireflies on the call, so I'm recording the call, and eventually we may publish the whole thing. I don't think it's usually very productive unless we summarize it, or maybe we slice it into bits just to propagate or to highlight some quotes, some few minutes here and there. Let's see how the call goes. Excuse me for a moment. I've been quiet my whole day, so I'm just clearing my throat. We have Baudouin as well. Welcome, Meek. Jump in. You don't need to raise your hand usually.
Hello, my name is Owen Nyabicha. I'm from Kenya.
Okay,
Yeah, Cardano, this was so glad to join you guys.
nice to see you here. So you were someone that we got new on the 45p Telegram recently as well, right?
Yeah. We,
Okay.
we we had a chat from the constitutional amendment call. Then we
Yes.
went to
Okay.
Telegram. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Welcome to Baudouin as well. Bienvenue. Today we're going to be sticking to English, but you can always still jump in and maybe I can help if you need to express yourself in French. And Morgan, welcome as well. I know that you are from Paper Thoughts, correct?
Yep. Good evening, everyone. It's evening right here, so yeah, nice to be in the room.
Cool. I'm just juggling some windows here. I'm going to be start to share my screen in a moment. And like I was saying just before some of you joined, we're going to try to keep this with a slightly different format than usual, where instead of just Twitter Space or just a Google Meet with people talking, I'm usually work a lot on with Miro, for example, and that's why I'm going back and forth because I'm juggling some windows here. So I've also have experience as a trainer, as a facilitator in some environments professionally. And so I like to think that like I was saying, we find different ways of communicating. So we have two windows here, and I'm going to drop them both onto the chat if you want to start opening them up from your side. From here, we have a Google Sheet that's going to be for everyone's personal details, even my own. I need to fill them in as we do that collaboratively. And there's a Miro board, which is the one that you have in front on the screen share already, which I'm not sure if you're going to be able to edit on it, but if you aren't, just request. You should see something on the top right to do so, to request editing on that Miro board. What I also have on my other screen is my notes. So I did a number of notes of sections of possible sections for this call, but I didn't really bring all that into the Miro board because I felt like it could be interesting if I do it as we go into each section so that I introduce it. So just to get some overall context out of the way, I'm going to read through my notes here. And as you can see, it's a bit, there's a bit here that I've done already about Cardano governance tooling. And then this is where we're going to be dropping some content today. So I gave this title here, which is the title of the call, and this is just a context and mood setting section. So 45B does a number of things outside of, well, inwards and outwards in Cardano. So we do Web3 education. Basically, when I say we, I mean me and a number of friends. I say friends because this is my own venture, my own experimentation. And you can see a number of people here that are my personal friends. There are career people in their line of business, in their profile, their job profile. For example, Anselmo is one of the key team members who's not here today, but he does all the video editing for us and capture when we do events. There's a number of people. So like I was saying, we have, I'm not going to bother you with that now, but if you go to links.45b.io, it's our link tree, and you'll see here the workshops, the Web3 workshops. There's a design center project now. These two are funded Catalyst proposals. There's some Luma calendars that you can subscribe to, and I really suggest that you, when you do this, you click this little button to add it to your Google Calendar, because even if you don't see any events being published or created or something like that, if you subscribe to this on your Google Calendar, then you'll get to see a balloon pop up that's available for you to join on your calendar as you go through it. So yeah, have a look here, follow us, and you can explore a bit more what we do. One initiative that's very similar to today's initiative was 45B Grit, which stands for Grassroots in Touch, where we try to pilot having a meeting space for Cardano communities. That meeting space was mostly about being multicultural and having communities meeting each other and sharing knowledge about how they do their grassroots development. This space now, I'm going to probably add it here in the 45B initiatives. It's not funded. It's really just out of frustration, let's say, or seeing an opportunity in the ecosystem, right, to have more discussions in a different format. So we're inviting community members to come over to our place to discuss and collaborate where possible. We encourage everyone to do the same, hopefully using our space to find peers that they can align with. This is a pro bono initiative. And one thing that I wanted to maybe experiment with this proposal, since with the one I was just talking about, Grassroots in Touch, we basically were motivated to do it because there was a treasury funding round and we created a funding proposal, and that didn't get funded, and it proved how big it can be to how hard it can be to get funded from the treasury. So what because we also work a lot with Bitcoin, what we would like to put in trial mode for this initiative is to be more welcoming to donations or support. So obviously I'm not asking the 5 or 6 people on the call now to do that, but I think we have 8 or 7 anyway, good turnout so far. But it is something that I think the community could benefit from experimenting with more. You know, to do things and then try to get paid by the people that acknowledge they got value from that initiative. So participants are not expected or asked to commit to being here all the time or provide any specific service to the community. And yeah, like I was saying in the beginning of the call, we know what we're getting into by trying to facilitate this space. Hopefully, if it gets traction in enough people, it can get messy. We're trying to avoid some things and trying to learn from other forums that we've been in, like all the constitutional work. 45B was a facilitator of the constitutional workshop in Lisbon. I am a constitutional delegate from Portugal, so I went to the Constitutional Convention and the workshops. And yeah, it's very tricky when you have a lot of people at the table with different points of view to express. Yeah, so this part here, I've already mentioned it to you. And apart from publishing things to socials as we may find it useful, here there's something interesting, which is the Nostr protocol, which is like a decentralized social network based on Bitcoin, where we could maybe try to get value for value there if there's Cardano people there, because currently Nostr is more Bitcoin native. So we are also going to try to produce documentation or follow-up formats of what we discuss here so that people can pick up asynchronously. So if you're watching us asynchronously, I hope you enjoy the call and get in touch with us to join future calls. So with this out of the way, just going to admit Mark Hall here. Welcome, Mark. We're just getting started, but I just went through the onboarding, or let's like the context setting for the call. I'm not sure if anyone wants to share some a bit about yourself, like very briefly, as I organize my notes. Maybe say hi, a quick round of introductions, but keep it very, very brief, and like who you are and what communities you're coming from or what your profile is. Maybe you can raise your hands and make a file to do that, to do it in order. It's up to you. Jonah?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jonah. I've been in the ecosystem for quite some time. I was also a participant at the Constitutional Convention. I ran a constitutional workshop. I'm based out of Washington, D.C. in the United States. That's on the East Coast in the Mid-Atlantic region. I'm here because of governance, and I'm a blockchain native. I've been in blockchain since like 2012. I started with Bitcoin. I came to the blockchain space as a user, as someone who needed blockchain as a utility. I'm not a builder. I've become a builder, but I'm primarily user focused. So that's how I tend to frame everything. And I'm here just because I'm a little bit concerned about the lack of emphasis or funding for governance tooling, which I think is a critical part of the blockchain. So that's me.
Guys, feel free to jump in, like maybe raise your hand and follow through the order so that we have Gintama and then Mark.
Yeah, my name is Gintama. Like I've been as known as Gintama for past I think almost 4 years now. Been in Cardano and crypto since 2022. Started as a community moderator in various NFT projects, and later started to interact more with governance side of Cardano from 2023. Since Intersect was in progress, more involved in 2024, and yeah, taking part on various working groups in Intersect and supporting the community. And yeah.
Great stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, hey guys, Mark here. Yeah, great to be here. Thanks for organising, Pedro. Yeah, I initially got into Cardano for investment reasons, the crypto, and somehow Cardano was one of the first ones. So I started as a user, I guess you'd say, and then quickly got into the stake pool operation side of things. I'm a developer by trade and have a great interest in the networking and the infrastructure side of stuff. So we operate upstream stake pool, and then from there got involved in the governance side of things with 1694 and running a constitutional convention workshop, and then meeting a few of you guys in Argentina, which was great. And yeah, and similar to Jonah, yeah, concerned or hope we can do something to impact governance for better, really. Yeah, so.
Yeah. I'm not sure if anyone else wants to say hi, but we have Morgan, just to recontextualize to everyone. Morgan is from Paper Dreams. Maybe it's not the right name. Jump in.
Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Morgan, and
Thoughts?
yeah, I'm an engineer. I recently graduated, so I'm trying to explore the blockchain ecosystem, and I found myself into Cardano. So I'm trying to learn as much as I can and really understand what Cardano really is all about, and also try to actively participate. On the side, extracurricular, I'm the founder of Paper Thoughts. It's a book club. While I was back in university, so yeah, this is me, Morgan. Nice to meet you all.
Cool. Thanks for saying hi and welcome to the ecosystem. I've seen these guys in Cardano for Coffee at least 3-4 times. They had a proposal. I'm not sure. We're not going to go into it now, but it's good to see someone that jumps in with an idea and wants to start building, hit the ground running, let's say. Okay, I think that covers mostly everyone. So jumping on to the next section of the call, I see you've already started dropping things onto the Google Sheet. The next, I'm going to share my screen again. So what we have on in terms of notes is a section that I titled "Getting to Know Each Other." I'm really going to be reading from the screen because I want to keep this very, very practical. I've already showed you a website and links.45b where you can see our projects. Yep, Owen. You're muted.
Hi everyone. So I didn't get the chance to present myself, but then here I go. So my name is Owen Nyabicha. Yeah, I'm new to the Cardano system, but my early experience comes from the Bitcoin space where I learned a lot through community-driven discussions around decentralization, self-custody, and financial literacy. So what draws me to Cardano is the strong focus on governance and the long-term research-based thinking, especially how community participation can be built into the system. So I'm mostly curious about grassroots education because I believe decentralization only works when people understand how this system functions and feel confident in taking part in them. So yeah, that's me.
Great stuff. So I'm just adding here, again, the notes about getting to know each other. There's the Google Sheet. I've just dropped it again on the chat. And yeah, what we have here, what you'll find on that Google Sheet, I'm just going to delete them from here as we go. It's your name or alias, personal link. In my case, that would be pedrolucas.net, which is my personal landing page. Then any organizations you relate to, in my case, will be 45B, Gimbal Labs, CBIA, and some links for those. And here, it's a bit like your professional background or job, like role or something like that. Just to show a bit more if you're more on the technical side, non-technical side, infrastructure. But we're probably going to experiment. Hi, Mark. We're probably going to need to experiment with the format because we can't be like interviewing everyone as we come in. So I wanted to create this sheet where everyone can sort of declare who they are, where everyone can find everyone else. so that you're not depending on 45B to do that. You just come to the, let's say, the board here, and you find each other and you connect. And you can see here, this column here is going to be one of the ones that we're going to focus more today on, which here you don't need to be very detailed, but it helps the same way I was just saying. We need to know what our background is. This column helps you understand what your interests are or what's on your radar in terms of, I'm just admitting someone here. What's on your radar in terms of governance, what concerns you, what you're working on. So just closing out this section here. Yeah, so that's basically it. And in terms of what's on your radar, I've started separating, maybe we could eventually break it down into these three things. I'm reading a book called Praxeology, which usually says there's a current initial situation, there is means or action that we take to remediate that situation, and then there's the end, which is the end situation where we have improved our initial situation. So that's why I have these 3 points here, and maybe we can work on with this framework on any topics that we touch on and that we raise. So I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to go over this, and I'm going to fill it in myself, okay, and also quiet down a bit myself. So I'll be back in a couple of minutes or 5 minutes. I invite you obviously to have a look at everyone else's, what everyone else is filling in.
Pedro, sorry to bother you, bro. Is it
Yep.
Is it possible then in the screen that you're sharing with us, I can see the framing you did to talk about problems? You said like we present the result.
This part?
No, you said one, then it was like a way to
Yes.
the framework of work.
Yes. Yes. Well, basically, it's just initial
It's
problem.
in the middle. It's in the middle.
Yeah, it's in the Miro board here. Actually, we're going to try to transform it into the next section,
Oh, I
which
found
is
it.
basically, yeah, problem discussion, open discussion, let's say.
Thank you. I think it's super good. I would like to approach this with the governance tools that we created. Then it's not written down in the middle. So
Yeah.
I think whenever you open up the mic, I would like to.
Yes.
My turn, please.
Yeah. So that's the thing, because it's going to be tricky to find out how productive we can be. I don't really want to turn this into a working group like we've seen in Intersect, where there's like hours and months just to discuss what your mission statement is or your charter and all that. And also, I'm not sure how much of human resources we're going to have to work on things. So sometimes we may just raise concerns to each other and share some insight on how we could possibly address it as an ecosystem. But it's subjective how much we can actually impact those. But let's see how things develop.
Thank you.
I'm just turning this into sort of like some framings here, so a bit more unfolded. For example, let me give you the example of what I am doing, what I prepared to add into this section. So here is like the initial topic, problem or opportunity, or bottleneck or something like that. And in my case, I've added here governance. This was a bit misspelled.
Don't care about the misspelling, bro. Like, yeah.
Governance tooling. Oh, sorry. This is.
I think my row's in your row, Lucas.
Okay. What? Something happened there. You basically dragged your text over mine, maybe.
And you put yours in mine as well.
What's happening there? Oh, yeah. Maybe there's a lot of people editing other people's things. If you see some problem with the content you meant to put in, please fix your own record, and we'll have to trust. Eventually, we'll sort each other. We'll sort ourselves off. So here, for my case, this was what I was illustrating is like, one of the points I wanted to raise is the disorganization and lack of initiatives and tooling by community members to self-organize. So it's a very generic problem statement. And what I added here, so what I'm going to do is here, I'm just going to put the problems, let's say. So now this problem is going to become, let's say, a sticky here. You can pick whatever color you want, make it square, more rectangular to fit in a bit more content, and I'm going to paste in the same statement. So this is basically my problem, let's say. The means or approach in resources to address the pink sticky could be, if I copy it back, copy it down, and paste over it, could be learning from each other's examples in facilitation, knowledge sharing, and taking action where possible. So this, in a nutshell, stands for hosting our own calls, talking with our own friends, discussing, coming up with our own solutions, and sandboxing things, piloting things, or proposing them. So, for example, I'm not sure, Sir Curran from the SPO side, Mark, can you tell me how it's pronounced? Is it like I said? You know him for sure, right? Sir Curran from the SPO incentives initiative?
Sirkaran is the way I heard pronounced.
Yeah. So this is an example that comes to mind when we talk about being a person that's out there in terms of creating solutions with a number of teammates in that initiative. In his case, and he's just making tweets saying, "What if the rep compensation follows this model?" You know, it's something that just happened last week. Instead of hoping for someone to organize a workshop or someone to do academic research on what the DREP compensation could be, he's just out there suggesting solutions. And speaking of him, he's just joining the call now. Hey, Sir Curran, welcome.
Sorry, I'm late. Just jumped
I
out.
was
of
just
another meeting,
mentioning
so.
you.
Oh, nice.
So let me fill you in a few seconds.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
I'm going to drop again on the chat Miro board and a Google Sheet. These are our only resources for today. And what we've done so far was basically some context here, as you can see, but like where we're coming from, what we're aiming to do. Have a read later if you can. By the way, there's something I forgot to mention. There's a Discord channel here that you can join. And yeah, there's links.45p where you can join our Discord server.
Okay.
Then we've gotten to know each other, especially by self-declaring here. So you can find other people's links and a bit of their background and what's on their radar. And now, picking up from these problems that we are like, ideally, this could be some things that you have some knowledge on or that you have concerns and ideas about. So in my case, I was saying, what's on my radar is that there's a lot of disorganization and lack of initiative and creation of tooling by the community members to self-organize. And so now transitioning from these problems to the Miro board so we can work on them a bit and discuss it openly. My example is just this, and I've created a sticky for my, let's say, problem here with that text. We can also do something that I ask you guys to do, which is click this little button here to show the author of the sticky. So that way, when you add any stickies, we can know who is the author of them. I'm not sure if anyone else is on the Miro board, if I can count on you to drop things in there. Anyone?
I tried to copy, but I couldn't make it work.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
you need to accept that.
Okay. So I think I mentioned that in the beginning. I'm just going to come here and try to admin the Miro board to approve anyone.
Don't worry about it, bro. It's like live television, you know. It's okay.
Yeah, it's basically a work session, you know. For me, I was gonna say things may break, but that's already taken, right? That phrase. So I'm giving access to Owen and to Gintama. I don't have a request from Chile.
Okay, I'm gonna do now.
Maybe on the top right, you see a button to request access.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There I did.
Okay. Did you click it?
Yes.
Okay, because I don't see
request ADOR rights. Your request has been sent.
Yes.
Over there.
I'm just going to refresh my admin window here. There we go. Now I have Jonah, I have Rodrigo.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Just for the sake of like talk, I'm sorry, but like I think we are tackling some very big, heavy problem that is not just related to only Cardano. It's related to like the whole world right now. Like I've been researching on democracies, and like the only democracies then they are like having high participation is where like voting is enforced. And like the rest of them, since the 90s, the numbers are going down. And let's say that like politicians haven't done their best in order to like earn their trust way back. So there is an apathy, a super big feeling of apathy in governance in general. So like what we're trying to tackle here when we talk about, you know, finding the Cardano community, people who are interested in working into the governance and the trouble that it means to like have endless discussion on how humanity organizes itself. We're doing good. There is the work that no one else wants to do. So like, you know, I don't think we should feel frustration in not having an answer, because this hasn't been like, you know, solved in like thousands of years of people trying out. But trying to get people's attention is not, I think, the right focus, because we are competing with like social media, which is like super quick, and like this is like hard. So as you were talking in the beginning, Pedro, of like finding like these highlights of the meeting, having these outcomes, and maybe that could like attract some people. But until we don't get any like seeable like solution or conglomerate of, you know, we work with different tools, we're not going to be attractive. So probably it's going to be like a loner's path for like a long time. Yes, I want to say that I'm happy that I'm able to tackle with all of you this conversation, because I don't expect to have 1,000 people in this meeting for like a very long time, maybe a couple of years, honestly.
Well, you mean in this meeting, or you mean in politics, or in Cardano
No, I mean
governance?
Cardano governance. This is gonna take like years of having like thousands of people, and like we got to know that and be disciplined, and like, I don't know if it's the right word, but like, you know, you got to eat shit. You know, then things are not gonna be easy. And
so I always say, if you look at governance anywhere in the world, it's always chaos. Like just look at the US, the UK, like everywhere right now, governance is a complete shit show anywhere. And now we're trying to throw decentralization on top of it, and we're trying to invent the wheel from square one. So it's like 100% going to be a unmitigated disaster for a while until we get things on track. And even then, it might be a feature, not a bug. It might just always be chaotic, and we just have to embrace that. So I don't think we're doing bad at all. Actually, I think we're doing a lot better than we thought. And then the other advantage we have is kind of most traditional governance things, you're kind of stuck with your politician. They get elected maybe 51% to 49% or whatever it is. We have liquid governance in Cardano, so you can just switch your politician at any time, right? If you don't like this DREP, okay, now that one's my DREP. So that helps a ton actually with participation, because you're not just kind of sitting around waiting for, your representative to do the thing. You can actively be engaged and switch whenever you want, which is really cool.
Thanks.
Ryan, that's something actually that I would love to have a dashboard. I was talking about this on X with you. I would love to see how delegation is moving. I think it would be amazing if we had like a scattered plot where you had DREPs and you could actually see delegation moving between, because right now CX Explorer does do this, but it's just linear. You can see like went from A to B, but I would love to see how it's moving around altogether, because it is something that we talk about, liquid democracy, but I want to make sure that it's really happening.
Yeah, no, I'll have to brainstorm that idea. I do usually try to refrain from calling it liquid democracy until we have on-chain identity, because technically speaking, it's a liquid plutocracy because we use data as voting power. We don't use identity yet, but that would be a cool thing to have in the future. So I call it liquid governance. But yes, I think that would be a cool thing to see see how it moves around. I actually have like a dozen other interesting ideas in my backlog that I want to do, but that's definitely one to explore.
Yeah, and also the liquid democracy is a trigger for the Ethereum folks, so it's better not to do that if we can.
Yeah.
Why is it a trigger? I wasn't familiar with that.
Because they don't consider Cardano liquid democracy, because you can't actually like use utility of your ADA outside of delegation. So for instance, they can both have their ADA in a DeFi protocol, their Ethereum in a DeFi protocol, and still retain voting rights. We can't do that in Cardano right now. So they don't see it as liquid. And the way they do that is with that synthetic. So ETH that is staked is then made the staked ETH, which then can move around the ecosystem.
There are definitely a handful of protocols that you can use and still count your governance power, though. I know like Indigo is one of them. Any of the ones that allow you to continue earning staking rewards also allows you to continue your voting power as well. Off the
Yes,
top of my head, I can't remember others.
so
But
Fluid does it, but only while it's not being deployed. So while it's in waiting to be deployed, you have your voting rights. But once it's deployed,
Yeah.
someone borrows it, then you do lose it.
I would really love to see us be able to do that while providing liquidity to a DEX. I think that's the big one. But the way our DEXs are designed, it's very difficult to actually do. So
100%. And the hot topic on this was, I got to just to throw in there, was OADA. So Zygomed had a solution for this. People didn't like Zygomed. He got some flack from the community, but he actually had the only solution really for this.
yeah, agreed.
Okay, great stuff. A lot of stuff, a lot of back and forth and cross-pollinating between your ideas. Just managing our time. I took a bit today to introduce the initiative. We have 20 minutes until the hour, and I had mentioned to Sir Corin that I'm happy to stay even a bit more than that, so maybe 10 or 20 minutes after the 30 past. So what I would invite you guys to do today until the rest of at least for the next 10 minutes is maybe we could do some quick fire. We're not going to get to dive into everything that everyone wrote, but for example, I've made my statement, so I think things are very disorganized and lack initiative. So it's just disorganization in the initiatives that exist. So what we need to be better at is creating even small things like these, like listing the projects, or what I'm going to show you here that I've done when I was in the open source committee, where I took the initiative of inviting governance tooling builders, created a section for Gov tools, another for Ecclesia, another for Unpopular Else tool, Cardano budget, all of these. And I started getting in touch with people. And for example, Darlington or someone from his side filled in the key features for his tool. And so, this was just because one guy decided to invite everyone into the same room. So if you're like what Sir Corin is doing for SPOs, I think everyone in the community needs to do this a bit more. By the way, let's not dive into this today, but just know that there's this section here that you can explore. And if you see something that you can help curate, please add in sections, add in stickies. You can copy this whole section to make another one for a missing tool or something like that. And from here on, I would invite everyone here to, a bit like we've been discussing, to state a bit what your problem is, and maybe if you haven't filled it in, what approach and envisioned solution, ending state you see for that topic that you're raising. I've asked if you could, maybe when you're filling in stickies, click the little author button, but I don't see it here for some reason. How do I do that? So here I see the way to show the author.
Hey, I was looking for that, Pedro. I didn't see the author button. If you find it, let me know.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's because some Miro glitch. Never mind. Maybe I'll just pass the mic to anyone. Maybe even if you can share your screen and show us what you've done or point to it on the Miro, I can share my screen still to raise more concerns. Just as a quick response to what Rodrigo was saying from Chile, I totally agree that like it's abstention rates. It's for example, in Portugal, we're between the second round of presidential elections, and abstention still is huge. And then also we have for 50 years we've had the same two parties governing. So they go back and forth, and the only way to go into politics in Portugal is to go into those two big parties, or you form a micro party that's hardly going to elect people. But it just helps me to bridge a bit with one thing that I've identified in Cardano, or that I feel after 4 years here, is that there's intersect. For example, the way that the constitutional things were done, the way that so much was done, and then there's everyone else, like headless chickens. And so that's why I think eventually we need to move away from, and maybe I'm neglecting a number of them, like CDEC or others, or Pragma, right? But yeah, I feel like there's a lot more that can be organized in everyone else apart from, let's say, the incumbents. Guys, jump in, please. Let's spend a few minutes in going over problems and possible solutions.
Yeah. So I wrote about the community cohesion, right? So because I came from the NFT side, like my journey started from NFT side of the community on Cardano. So like as I moved into governance, I've seen that the major like 99.9% of the people that are participating in governance, they're either tech developers or SPOs, right? Rather than like the people that are actually using the chain are very less involved in the decision making process or the planning strategic process of the chain. So that is the problem where those people they want to contribute and they want to share their point of view, their concerns, their views, but it is not reaching the place it is supposed to reach unless you have your connections that can get you there. So if you are a lone guy somewhere, right? If you are in some NFT project as a community guy, to get to the governance side, you really need to follow certain people on X, or know someone who is sharing of this information, so that you can contribute. Or else it is very difficult to take part in these areas, and that is kind of for me, right? Because that's where my journey started. So it has given me a point of view that the viewpoint that is being made up, that is being money spent on the projects being built are very specific group focused rather than what the general people. Because in NFT communities, there are people from various backgrounds that I've met. Right? I met people who are just normal security guards, who are watchmen of societies, who are just some day-to-day construction, daily wage people, insurance, or doctors, hospital, nurse. And when I see those and when I see the people participating, there's a big gap, and that is not being covered anyway. So that's what a point I've written in the mirror board.
Okay. Let me see if I can just put my finger on that sticky and find it in the board. 1 second. Are you there, Shintama? This one, right? Yeah. Cool. So who wants to jump in next, please?
Sorry, I'll jump in. Sorry, because I have my hand up. I just wanted to reiterate what you said, actually, which is good, is that, yes, I have heard that democracies are on decline currently right now in the world globally. So it's a very interesting point that you make. So it's something that maybe blockchain, could help with. Not related to Gintama's comment, but I will comment on that, is that, yes, I see that's a very big point you made, that a lot of the utility, the people who use the blockchain don't have the weight to make decisions on the blockchain. And I think that's definitely a disconnect we see. You can see it in the community when people who come in, who are users, they tend to be left out in decision making because they don't have the weight. It's either invested in MinSwap because they're providing liquidity, or it's in rugged NFT projects, unfortunately. So I hear what you're saying, Gintama. I don't know how to mitigate that. Like it's something to do with the one coin, one vote, and it's a deep challenge, I think, for proof of stake.
Any follow-ups?
I don't know if you guys know it, but we created a website and it's called cardumen.io. It's the idea of the tool is to bring a visual experience to the governance. So like exactly, so we can see, well, maybe it's taking some time on the Explorer, but basically we can see how many people are delegating, what are the top D reps, and we can, if you go down a little bit, por favor, please, we can see the governance actions, for example, and how people been voting on them. If you click on like view the graph a little bit farther down, sorry, Lucas, to bother you.
No worries, happy to help.
There you go. No, a little bit higher. There is like view graph.
On the right or?
No. In the bottom of any governance action, there's in the right.
View graph.
Exactly.
Okay.
sorry. So like the idea of this is that like we can see in the visual experience, the green dots are like the SPOs, and then you can see the D reps. Of course, it doesn't scale like all full way with the voting power, because if so, that will be like a huge dot, and that will be the end of the story.
You could use logarithmic type of thing, no? Or
exactly.
like a curve. Yeah.
We try with still with a limit on the screen, so you can see the difference between the D reps, but it's not like the full scale. So it's still a visual experience.
This is exactly it, man. This is what I was talking about. Now, if we could animate it so you could see ADA flows on this kind of bubble graph, it would be amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. Once you said that, I thought about it. Like, how do we turn it into like a way to perceive epoch by epoch the movement? It will be we will work on it. We will work on it, and we tackle like funding, the idea of funding, and we tackle intersect. I talked to Jack, always very kind, always very easy to approach. He explained to me, then right now the only money that it's concentrated or focused in governance will be this working group that is then it's working on the measure on how to measure governance. Then they came up with a document like Kent and this lady, I forgot her name.
Is it Maureen?
Yeah, Maureen. Yeah. That group came out with like some metrics, and they have a little bit of funding to explore governance. I'm not sure how much was it, but like basically it's way less than like what GovTools asked or what Tempo maybe asked. I'm not sure with the second one. So there is some funding. We could try to come up as a conglomerate and ask for something, but individually, I don't think we're gonna reach the strength because of the same thing was Quintama saying.
Well, my ambition with hosting this space is just to host the spaces. It's a bit like Cardano over coffee, you know. We have a number of projects on 45B. One of them is about UI UX improvements in proposals. I am very passionate about data viz, and so for example, this kind of thing that you're doing here with the visualization with a graph, I would love to help or to lend a hand to give some input. I'm not necessarily trying to form a working group or a project team here. More like here the goal is more like to create a space. But yeah, if you guys if you find peers here to go ahead with that proposal, it would be great to facilitate that, to have been a meeting ground here. Jonah?
I just want to say, man, I love this. This is the first time I've seen this site, by the way. So thank you for sharing. This is amazing. I'm going to really share it on X because this is brilliant. I love the data you're providing. Would you consider an API for this so people could pull the data from you?
We are going to make it through this year. The idea of requesting the funding was like we could make open source to standardize, but not the entire box. We still want to like have some property rights. Maybe it's the right way to say it in English, but we want to help to standardize. So metrics will like to be open source and be an API, so like everyone can connect and plug to this.
Like I tell you, like I'm looking in the DREP, for instance, and I love the fact that you have, you can sort by number of DREPs. Amazing, right? Like, sorry, number of delegators. But then the nuance from the number of pools is brilliant, right? Because that makes a difference, right? Are the delegators coming from 5 pools or 200 pools? So like all of this data is important. I love it.
Exactly, and it helps us to understand where the region where they come from. Like there is a pattern in the language, the culture. If you can see, for example, how representative they are, as you were saying. The idea behind this was to like facilitate the experience. We have talks on some political science. I didn't finish the degree, but like I'm connected to like some of them, and basically we are fighting and tackle the problem of democracy around the world. If political parties could also show this, it will make a full different experience. But I don't want to sound negative, but like, as I said, this is a loner's path. we're gonna have to like fight it our own and like tackle, and it's gonna be boring.
Yeah.
And thank you for bearing.
I think it's not the first time I hear people that are building governance tooling on Cardano saying they wanted to create, their target is not just Cardano. Their target is human collaboration, like a political nation state, something like that. Yeah. So I think it's really interesting how we can learn from this, and also a bit how our system is very, very our own, in terms of Cardano. It's a governance action, has these rules and all that. So it's going to be tricky to see, for example, how does a governance tooling that's made for the treasury management relate with Catalyst, with what Catalyst does. I've been around since Fund 6 or something, and I keep waiting for Catalyst to become an open protocol that everyone can fork and use for their own DAO or crowdsourcing or whatever. And I don't know. Darlington was saying that that's the promise with the current thing that they're building, and that Catalyst Explorer by Darlington could become something like just one more Catalyst client. Maybe eventually then Catalyst tooling could start finding its commonalities with governance, the treasury governance, let's say. Rodrigo, I'm going to add Cardumen here on this bottom left section of our Miro board. Like I said, I've initiated this in a past life. And so I'm just going to do this and duplicate it for you. And I would ask that you add here anything that you feel could be useful. Obviously, I'm going to rework this title. And so maybe I think I've copied the link. No, I didn't.
But don't worry, like now I can write in the board, I can do it myself. Thank you for opening the space. I like the invitation.
Sure. So yeah, please clear this one here. I'll do it. And that's one. Anyone else in terms of, let me just go back to our board here.
I'm just going to talk because nobody's, saying, but I just want to say that, yeah, like for me, it's really important how things are represented, because, we tend to get a lot of information like in a written format that's really hard to understand and digest. When what I appreciate about this is a beautiful visual that is very clear. It's very intuitive to understand what's happening. And that's why I like the flow chart that Circa and Ryan put together so quickly, which was amazing, is that it's instantaneously clear what's happening. There's no interpretation needed. You can see exactly. And I think that's important because there's so much information coming into us in the ecosystem that we need to be able to see patterns and things very easily without having to dig too deep into data or running scripts or something to, figure it out for us.
Yeah, Excel sheets are boring. So like we need a different type of experience.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I was feeling here was you obviously have just two, the yes or no or the abstain and everyone around it, and it becomes very hard to do it. Maybe you could have some kind of pagination or a progressive zooming on some section. You can spin the thing so you can, instead of what we're doing now, which is zooming in and zooming out into different sections of it, maybe it could be rotating and zoomable, so self-zooming as we rotate through them.
I love the idea how it sounds.
Yeah, I've been meaning to try to buy even like 3D things and to experiment more with this kinds of 3D based visualizations. I think that those could be really interesting for some data structures. One other thing that I think maybe I'm missing here is the fact that we cannot filter governance actions by their status. Maybe it's ignorant from me to be raising this, but
I think no, they are now split between type of actions, not if they are still open or if they are closed. That's something then we have in the
mark
to keep working. What I would like to show, sir, one more. If we go to the beginning of the website, there is another tab. Then it's called for SPOs. To the left, I think. In the circle. No, the circle of the left. Pick any pool. Don't select a pool. The pool, then whatever pool you want.
Okay. Oops, I think I clicked something by mistake. Is this a valid choice? So maybe it's a
No,
bit too
because it's a small. Yeah.
Can we check Gimbal Labs?
Go ahead, please, sir.
It's my maybe it's GMB. I'm not seeing it.
With no.
I think there may be something wrong with my client, or I'm just going to refresh if that's okay.
Yeah, please go ahead. Maybe
here.
there is something with like the metadata because I'm using DB-Sync. So like it should be able to show.
Just on the side. Mark, I'm going to ask you to share the link for what you were doing because your tool is really good in terms of the timelines, how the governance actions come in and out of effect and into voting, I mean.
Yeah, I'll drop that in there now.
Please.
I was going to say, I've never seen your site, buddy. I'm loving the graphs. It's
awesome.
I see the fish, man. That's amazing, huh? Is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking about that, and you have the dashboard to see how many people of the in between the stake are delegating to a DREP. This is also a very important metric because it allows to see for the SPO or the DREP how effective is the work. Am I getting like over 30% of my delegation from 2021 to have a DREP or no? Are these people claiming the rewards? Did they lost it?
Can someone, do you want to share your screen to demo this? Because my computer doesn't really play well with.
Okay, I will go on, sir.
Just jump on.
Sure.
Meanwhile, I'll open Mark's website too on my side.
I see what you mean. Yeah, that's really great for DREPs. Like I can't believe it. So you can look, you can see like of your delegators, which ones are delegating to what DREPs.
Exactly.
That is amazing. Yeah.
So we have like, for example, 24% of the ALA for good, it's like with a DREP. Here we can see like the stake organized by size, and like we can change it into like a more like easier to see experience. Here they tell you where they are, who like brings most. And here is something that we're also working is to see which ones are not delegating. And for example, this one is not delegating. And do we see these people like making transactions? Yes, these people, it's an active user. Here we see the like the buys and sales. We are trying to make a forensic tool. So like this is part of our roadmap. And like we really love the idea of like being able to show it now to you guys, but like it's hard to get attention from the community.
Dude, that is beautiful. This is amazing. I love this.
This is so amazing. This is so amazing.
I'm glad you guys like it, but the idea is like just to like make it easier for people to understand governance. That's all, you know, for you, for I.
It needs to be like self-explanatory and explorable and all that, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah.
Like, have you tried to show this to the civics committee at Intersect?
Yes, I have. And like they were nice about it, but they have their own stages of roadmap. So like they haven't arrived yet at the part of funding, but we want to put AI. We want to make like AI be able to match the expectations of the delegators' political approach, or like how they view the governance with the right reps. So it's not as sticky the delegation. Yeah, that's that.
You know, when I titled this governance, I felt like we needed governance and funding because when I started on Cardano, it was just Catalyst and that was funding, and it was experiments to eventually have governance. I didn't realize that we're going to have a space here to discuss governance tooling and how to fund it. You know, because it's also maybe something that's lacking in ways, and maybe that's relates with what I started by saying in the beginning of the call, that we're hosting this. It's just going to be a weekly call, a once per epoch call or something like that. And we're going to experiment with value for value. So try to get people to donate, or whoever values us to donate to who's hosting the space. And I really feel like when I look at things like Eternal or Vesper or some other project that not being the case, that could benefit from more value by their users, like people donating to them. I've mentioned this to Vesper, for example. You should have a button there, donate to Vesper. Every transaction, you can have like half an ADA or something, or maybe because of the mini TXO or something, 1 ADA or something like that. I really feel like we need to move away from waiting to apply for huge treasury withdrawals or get funding from big venture or big funding entities and funding ways on Cardano. So one of the projects that could be strategic in achieving this for the ecosystem would be some kind of crowdsourcing Kickstarter tool for Cardano that could serve, whether it's for someone making Cardano bikes, whatever, and for someone making governance tooling, you know. Anyway, Mark, you want to jump in and maybe you could share the timeline thing on your tool?
Yeah, no, it's
You
great
already
to see
have
your
a section
call,
here,
Rodrigo, because I've been working on some Explorer-based bits as well. Ultimately, trying to reach what you got there with like nicely laid out graphs and easy ways to view the relationships. So you've just added to my inspiration massively there.
Thanks to you. And like, this is Mauricio, who is not in the call, but like this guy took a book on how to make graphs. So like man, you can do it. If he was able to put it up with a book and like take the time, I'm sure you will do it perfectly. So
yeah, that's great. I mean, yeah, so I've shared my link in the chat down there, and I mean,
do you want to drive,
we're only on preview and Sancho Net and focusing on just more. We're not as far along as you guys, but focusing on the base views with more of a UX angle. Like when you're looking at proposals, what's an easy way to consume that on, you know, what's going on now kind of perspective. If you click on the proposals tab just there, Pedro, that's probably the best. Well, that's going to offer the most difference. And then we've got these. Well, yeah, so this is just a standard list view. I mean, it's not really different from many other explorers, except I'd say the filtering and probably UX is a bit smoother and easier to use. If you click on the schedule tab, classic Gantt chart style, which everyone loves or hates, but this gives you just kind of an overview of where we're at right now in Epoch timeline. And
sorry, I'll be back in a second.
Yeah,
that one was brilliant, Mark. I love that timeline one with the epochs. That's really, really nice. That's really good to understand what's happening. So that's I love that.
And then, ultimately, the goal is to build this out with, some really nice graphs that help absorb this data. Because, I mean, if you switch to preview net, like in the bottom right, you can switch network. I mean, and you start trying to look at a scenario where it gets real busy. I mean, yeah, we all know digging into the data for just like one proposal is a pain in the ass. And now you've got to analyze 50, or if we ever get there, hundreds of proposals.
Yeah, that's the thing. One big chunk of governance, I think, is going to eventually happen off chain or signature based, but like it's always going to need to be signature based, but I don't know, on an L2, on Hydra or something like that. I don't know. I understand that it feels like we're not doing it for real, but I don't see a way around it. Do you want me to move around in a specific direction here, or?
No, I mean, you can look at the various screens. Like there's the SPO's kind of views are ready and filterable, and I'd say pretty useful compared to other explorers. So that's a good screen to check out. Oh, we've added like the midnight indexer just to see how that would relate.
Just to have a quick look here. So I'm on preview.
Yeah, preview is probably the best because it's got a lot more data than Sancho.
I always feel like even when I organize these calls here about the tools, like I was saying, your tool has a section here, and maybe this is a bit outdated, but it was quite busy at the time.
Yeah.
It was something that we've discussed in this call, that if you have a good UI for SPOs and Rodrigo has a nice UI for governance actions, eventually you could at least link to each other, or say, okay, I'm going to abolish my UI for this and I'm going to adopt yours, especially if they were both open source. You could just import and do your own fork of other things. I don't know. I just feel like eventually we need to fork and be able to coalesce as well. So now we're still spreading out, fanning out,
well,
but eventually.
Just to add to that, mate, that like I think Rodrigo kind of mentioned it as well. It comes down to, like, when I build tools, at least, like it's my day job, and especially when you're doing stuff without funding, you have to think of how you're going to monetize them. And the moment you open source things, you do remove a large chunk of your opportunity to monetize things, which is fine as long as you can make it work in a way where your time spent is rewarded.
Yes.
Like, I don't intend to release a bunch of stuff for free without some potential reward. Not because I'm tired or anything. I've spent tons of time in.
It's just not viable. I understand.
Yeah.
You know, I think anyone.
But right now, I can use this tooling to, like, so I've got a junior developer so I can use this to help train them, right? And they're not in Cardano. They're helping me make money with Pendulum, my day job stuff. So I get to use that. This tool to monetize in other angles, which I'm not sure if I can do when we open source stuff. So totally open for the discussion, though. But I just wanted to.
Well, but the thing is, even if you don't open source it, but if you share it with peers, but are able to, for example, if you have a nice screen for the timelines of the governance actions, and Rodrigo is monetizing his tool, you sort of donate to him that component, but you get an income stream from his usage. It's just a matter of balancing things and documenting and trust, and it's not just a matter, but I
totally understand and totally see that synergy, because I mean, I'm not going to spend like the next 1,000 hours trying to make graphs when there's a great site. So absolutely,
you've won the graphs, Rodrigo.
Yeah. So no, that synergy works totally, and if we can help each other with resources and development perspectives as well, like,
it would be awesome. But that's why I said, and this is a loner's path, because I didn't want to say this. I don't like the word grifters, but goddamn, like, resources are being wasted in things that like have little to not impact except for like economic progress to someone who submitted the project. So, which is fine. I'm not against like someone trying to make a buck if the things work.
Right, but
that's ideal.
You're making me think of like Catalyst paying I don't know, hundreds of thousands or something for someone to prove that a square root does create a curve, and that quadratic voting is going to like attenuate the big whales. And then you ask them, have you looked into identity? How feasible is this? And they say, oh, that wasn't like, no, I just know the curve. And then there's other people in the ecosystem doing what you guys are doing, and you get zero funding. So what I would love to believe is that if we're tackling governance, human governance and human coordination, value would flow to where it's valued.
But it won't. It's a loner's path. I'm sorry for being negative. I mean, I'm optimistic because I'm building.
Not like, by the entities, but by the users.
No, because people are not interested in governance. We need to make something so fun, or so like, how to say, like gossip. Like, people need to like get the fun out of seeing this. If they don't, no money.
Just let me share one point. For example, the type of viz that you guys are doing is on different things, like one on timeline, another one on the graph. Have you thought of showing that, like, for example, for a governance action, for example, I don't even subscribe to the nomenclature of delegate representative. I think everyone's a voter, And if you decide to give up that, you're just giving it up, So when I vote, I'm going to register my own direct voter, not a DREP. I'm going to register to vote, and whoever wants to inspire from me, from my rationales, can follow me. And so every time I want to vote, if there's a new governance action, I haven't looked into it yet, I'm not in the detail, nor do I have that much technical understanding of it. I have like 6 or 7 people that I follow, not delegate to. They're in my link, like in my social graph or something. And as a direct voter, I may not understand the whole thing completely, but I know that there's 7 people, including technical people, non-technical people, community people, governance people, that have voiced their rationale. So all I want is, instead of seeing that whole bubble, I want to see the people I follow or the prioritize. I can even have the first degree of like closeness to me, and then the friends of my friends or something like that. And that could create a sort of like more of a network of trust. You understand? So instead of just saying, okay, I vote because, for example, now when the Constitution passed, it was 75% already. And so I think a lot of people was like, oh, if Utah failed 1, 2, 3 times, and now it's almost there, it sort of like blindly goes over the 75% because people are assuming it's good enough now. What if, instead of looking at the global 75%, you were looking at the people you trust, the people that you can trust for their opinion? And maybe if 1/3 of your friends or half of your friends voted no, you're going to get a completely different picture. And you're going to shift the global towards a different direction, because it's, instead of trusting the whole, everyone trusting everyone as a whole, so this kind of thing could also bring you closer to say, okay, I don't want to say a DREP, but I am a voter, I am someone in this graph, and I have built this and I need help. So that way you can create a connection with all those people to request for 1 ADA or 10 ADA from someone. It was a bit of a rant. I know I put in a number of things in there, but I just feel like there's a lot that can be done with apps, leverage people to people, value for value, rather than everyone, like the whole ecosystem only has one steering wheel. You can inspire from the people you trust, and maybe Japanese delegators trust more on each other. It creates a cluster or a bubble of information, and they sometimes need to come out of that. But it's better than if everyone is just depending on everyone, let's say. Anyway, it's just a thought.
Yeah, I had a similar take on this. Is like more generalized funding and how we do it here. And Gintama made a comment in the thing that this idea of like, there's 2 ideas that I had that I think would be fun to explore. One is polymarket style funding, and that would just be strictly for businesses that need to make money, right? And that if you're a DREP, you put a little bet on, like, you think this is going to be a profitable business and it's going to return, and depending on the size of your vote bet, then you get a little kickback from the business, right? Just like polymarkets, like, and that would make people make better decisions, I feel like, because they'd be putting their money where they were. If you think funding X is going to be successful, like if you really think, tagging bikes on chain is going to be financially successful for the thing, then you put your votes there, but you're not going to make any money off of it. And if you want to, fund something else that's a business that's going to make money, then you would get something back. That's one thing that's interesting. The other thing I have is an idea about, rather than, we tend to do funneling down in our funding, where we start very broad, everybody throws something in the top of the funnel, and then individuals filter out the noise and you're left with something at the bottom. But I think we can flip this upside down, where you have a broad base of ideas, and then people begin to attach themselves to good ideas that then float to the top. And then by the time something reaches a certain level, you already know it has support from 75% of the community, right? And that's when you make the money allocation. You don't start the other way, where you ask for money and then see who likes it. Because what we're seeing is that we get low participation, which means that low thresholds are making the decisions. And another thing I've been pushing for is, like, I don't think any decisions should be made until a threshold is met, which we do have in TWAs, treasury withdrawals, but we don't have that in Catalyst, right? Like, or in other areas of our thing. The way we make decisions, it's very frequently the only place where thresholds really are maintained is in like on-chain governance, and that's a reason why thresholds are there, because it's really the only way to guarantee that you're getting enough participation before you move forward. And like we elected, you know, CC members, we elected board members on, you know, less than 100 votes total, right? So like these are, so like yeah. I think no decision is better than making a decision from 25 people. Like let's wait until we get, you know, at least some percentage of representation before we move forward. Sorry, that's my rant.
It's a valid point. Guys, anyone?
Yeah. I had a different point of view on the governance and prediction market. So let's say, you know, the Rodriguez puts a market on Bodega, right? That will the DREPs delegators move the stake to this from one DREP to another, right? And if the yes vote is going high, so then the DREPs, sorry, the delegators will be, you know, who are betting will be more prone to move their delegation to another DREPs, you know. And they now they look into the tools that we, okay, how is the delegation moving? And at that point, you know, the tools that Rodriguez and Mark have built, they can incentive, like, you know, put out some pricing where to get more detailed data you need to pay some, you know, fees, or you can give, you know, be in partnership and you can build something out like that for funding. So there are ways where you can make governance easy, like fun, where people make money, where the delegation moves as an actual liquid token, and where the tools that you have built, right, for information gathering and showing generate revenue for themselves also. So there are ways that can be explored and business opportunities, right? But the thing is, again, we have very few people who are interacting with the chain on daily basis. So it will take a bit of time to get the traction. But this is something that we can explore if you're looking for funding, right? Because let's say Rodriguez puts on yes that okay this will move, and you have the first information that okay these delegators are easier to move, so you know you can then bet yes or no. So there's something to look into.
Do you have a link for this that you mentioned on the chat?
Yeah. I have.
This is something that, you know, one thing that we're going to try to do in 45B is have more of our, so for example, we have our 2 calendars in that you can subscribe to here for Luma, and you can add them to your Google Calendar, but we're going to have a 3rd calendar, which is just events that we recommend. As we are focused on onboarding people, especially end users, or I don't know, builders, entrepreneurs, or something like that, we want to be able to onboard them and point them to that calendar. So the same way, these are just for live spaces, but we're going to try to have one for newsletters, one short list for those kinds of things. And especially the biggest one would be something like Cardano Cube of things that are live in Web3. So this is, sorry, I'm just digressing to say that eventually this is something that I would love to include in our Web3 list of things that can be used on Cardano, including to consider use it myself. Guys, we're a bit over. I'm starting to think we might as well start scheduling these for 90 minutes each. I was gonna ask, maybe I'm gonna, instead of just spending the last 10 minutes on this, I'm just gonna ask you guys to maybe separate them a bit more, give them, if it's a thread that you know that you own or something, give them your own caller to try to facilitate reading, and maybe asynchronously throughout the whole week we can have a look at it. Because we all know time's short for everyone, right? But maybe have a look at everyone's things, and start coming back with you know, continue to network but finding more actionable things as well as we go. Don't forget to enable the little author option there. I found out that if you have it, for some reason, some of them were in another format. So you need to put it into sticky mode, which is this one. If you have it in sticky mode, you should be able to see this author button there. And then just to, not to wrap up, but to go on to the other topics that I had, just to introduce them since it's just the kickoff call. So we have this context setting, get to know each other. There's a link here for the Google Sheet. Also invite you to have a look at it and fill it in a bit more or update it if there's any things relevant to update. But I just wanted to bring you and fly you over this other section that I had sort of ideated between myself I ideated myself, which is we could have a recurring call section about tooling reviews. So there's that bit of the board that I was going to on the bottom left. I'm not going to go there again. Like I said, there's a lot of input that's required there, and we can maybe create that as the first and most immediate output that this group or initiative can have to anyone coming by, is that instead of just knowing that there is golf tools, people can come here, and maybe from here we could make, like I was saying, a small short list of the ones that we prefer and highlight, okay, this one is better for timelines, that one's better for SPOs or something like that. So that's one, let's say, thread that we can continue to mature, which is the tooling reviews or tooling knowledge grooming. Ongoing governance actions, I think we might as well skip. There's nothing very critical to mention or discuss now. Is there something that anyone wants to discuss? You're on mute, Jonah.
I don't have any really. I mean, there's a couple there, but I have to jump on something else in a few minutes, so we'll just maybe skip it for now because nothing's critical really.
Rodrigo?
I hope Utah comes with a better version of the new constitution, because he's very perseverant. Even if I don't like his approach, I have to respect what he has done.
Yeah.
So like, I hope he takes the input. Then we need a wider microphone. We need other people to put inputs into it. And hi, bro. Japanese culture is so different from like our side. So like he feels so good into his heart and he's doing just the right thing. And we need to work together. That's all.
Yeah. You know, since we started on, I was a constitutional delegate and all that, and throughout all those debates, I came back from Argentina literally sick, you know, tired and frustrated because it was so narrow, and I was seeing even from while traveling what Mad Orchestra was developing, which is just like, okay, you have the whole text, anyone can comment on a paragraph. I really would love, and I even asked Charles about that. Why does he believe that having everyone in a room is a good approach compared to having something that's completely decentralized, asynchronous, and online, where everyone can communicate? So eventually, I think we're going to get to a tool like that. But like Rodrigo was saying, engagement, and then having data viz or having the nice UI that makes people really engage with it, making it social, making it shareable, saying, okay, Jonah changed the paragraph here, he can share it with his 5 friends for them to review, and it sort of should percolate and go viral almost within his network of influence. I think we need to think more of like those kinds of things. But anyway, it's just to say, when you talk about having more community input, this could be by someone developing a tool that allows better knowledge and input gathering, not just by YouTube, but by everyone. And maybe it should be something open source that each community could have their fork of and work on. And then it's very much like Git, as you can see. What else? In terms of Fund 15, can someone just tell me, because I didn't see Danny's post, is he did this huge blog post over the weekend. Is it about explaining what's been happening with the delayed voting, or is it really just another learnings and sharing of grooming the community to behave better? Okay, cool.
Yeah, there was no real substantive information about what went wrong. I think there was a little hint that some information was translated wrong. So I know some proposers went in and said that their allocations were all off. So I think there's some data thing that's happened. They might have lost data, is what I'm feeling like.
Okay, well, let's give him some time to keep working on it. I'm not sure what could do there, what could happen. since I was here on the Catalyst section, I said, okay, we're not going to be chilling proposals. The type of thing that Cardano over Coffee does, for example, where they give the stage to anyone to come and chill their proposal. I don't think I would do that here, because I would only like invite people that I've already vouched. I don't want to be a town hall for the world. And so I prefer to take, maybe if I, for example, I know Mark's tool, we're getting to know Rodrigo's tool, and that we're collaborating, but I don't want to be a town hall for pitching tools, for pitching Catalyst proposals. That said, we could have a sheet here where you can list your proposal. So I'm going to create it later and leave it as an option here on the doc. And maybe we can groom it, for example, if they are brought into our radar by adding to a sheet or something, not this one, obviously. We could, they would become closer to getting a review from us. So that's it about Catalyst. And then frequency of these calls, like I said, eventually I would like to have it on per epoch, but there's the weekends issue, and I wouldn't want to do this on Saturdays or Sundays. So for now, let's leave it on once a week on Mondays. If you're okay with it, please invite anyone else. And I found it interesting that we're on Epoch 609, which is a nice symmetrical number. Hopefully it's a good omen for us. And then, yeah, let's meet one week for today. I'm gonna, one thing, like I was saying, we have this links thing. Please keep in mind that today I did this call on this calendar, but eventually all calls going forward are gonna happen on this other calendar, because this was just the kickoff call and this is gonna be the launch ones. And if I didn't, maybe if you didn't catch me in the beginning, I was saying, I really suggest adding this as your feed on your Google Calendar, because it really pops up very nicely, apart from email notifications or anything like that. I'm going to experiment with fireflies, for example, because it was such a fruitful discussion. I feel like, at least, especially for the people that were here, if you want to review it or listen back, I, as a facilitator, have more trouble following up and listening, because I'm usually thinking of the next thing we're going to look into. So I'm going to share the fireflies recording and eventually consider posting it somehow in a collaborative way, because it's the type of, when you look at the transcription of this call and then the comments or ups and down or thumbs ups and thumbs downs that anyone can do on a certain section, it's the type of discussion that we were just talking about. And multi-format, synchronous and asynchronous, video, text, audio, podcast, everything is something that we really need to start being portable between, translating between all of those. If anyone has any idea of venues where to promote this or people to reach out to, maybe drop it on, for example, our Discord. We have a channel. Give me a second. So I really invite you to join here, because as you know, it's where we have more the ability to work with threads and those kinds of things. It's an old server that I started 4 years ago, but I've created a channel here just for this initiative. And like I said, we can create threads or anything that we feel is necessary. And I think that's what I can close with today. You can just do things, right, Sir Karan? I thought of making a meme maker. Like you put in your banner, and it just snaps the stamp of you can just do things on it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, now it's getting to be you can just tell Claudebot to do things. So.
No. Well, I've started using that as well.
Mine comes in the mail tomorrow, so we'll see. My productivity is about to go through the roof, I hope.
Sorry, what comes in the mail?
My Mac Mini that I'm going to put a Claudebot on.
You're going to do that, huh, Ryan? Let me know how it goes, man.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I use all the AIs all the time, so if I can have them as like an interface for managing them better, then I'm going to do it. So.
Yo, is the setup heavy? Let me know how the setup is when you get it. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a huge security black hole. But fortunately, I work in the security industry, so I think I can make it pretty safe.
You saw the post on that.
I think if you're ever going to have a Claudebot, rule number one is don't ever let anybody else talk to it. Like, just don't. Put it in a sandbox and only you can talk to it. Because as soon as somebody else can send an email, you can be like, oh, yeah, transfer all the money to this person. Just email it. Like, whatever. Like, If you can talk to it in any way, it can run code on your computer. So
yes,
People are
somebody
brave,
posted
brave.
a post today that I think they found like 900 open I don't know where you guys, open access ports to their people's clawbots.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts.
It's gonna be nuts. It'll be fun to see all the hacking stuff.
Yeah, I had a whole bunch of ideas that I was trying to I didn't like talk much, but I like threw them all over the mural board because I was trying to get them all down on paper before I forgot them. But I have like a dozen different things, so I tried to put links if you guys want to explore any of them. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, if you have any like burning thought, like it's sounding you do, for example, I really encourage you to record one of those small things, like the small recording, like Luma, not Luma. There's another number of small tools to record, your thoughts, maybe in a 5-minute presentation or something like that, and drop a link to it on the Miro board, so that instead of someone reading it like a huge testimonial by you, they can just watch a video or a demo or something like that.
Oh yeah, I'll try and do stuff like that.
What's the name of that tool? Zeit is the one I use now, screen recording, but it's a competitor to the industry leader for that. Sorry, I got you off track.
No, you're good. I think most of the ideas are pretty self-explanatory via links. The only one that I think is not, I could actually share my screen real quick. It's not taking too much time. Sure. But is this governance DAP thing? Oh, great. It just chose to froze at this exact moment.
By the way, I added on Miro Reafino that Gintamo was talking about crowdsourcing.
This is a idea for a governance tool I'm building, because GovTool doesn't do parameter changes. I don't think Tempo or any of the other ones does. So if you want to do a parameter change right now, you have to do it via the CLI. And none of the crowdfunding tools exist yet. So this is a platform I call Fast Track, basically how to get your proposal to the starting line as fast as possible for parameter changes. And it's basically, you can click on like the list of parameters, list all the parameters, should have a discussion section. You can create a campaign to get people to crowdfund, to put funds in to change this parameter. It has steps for how to get it all the way on chain. We'll hopefully do some automated compliance check type stuff, and maybe even automated evidence collection, because a lot of the evidence for these parameter changes is like on-chain stuff that you can look at. But this is right now just a mock-up. And then the other thing that I want to do that combines with this is basically, I don't know if you remember this, so sorry if it gives you PTSD from the contingent staking debate from many years ago, but like a discussion thing like this, where you can like have a premise and then people can just like discuss it. Like maybe it could be change the Constitution to have this line in it. And then you can have all the arguments for and arguments against, and you can kind of like click on them and drill down into them. Well, that one doesn't have any.
Yeah. So
none of these are.
Yeah. This is the solution. We're done. This was the last call of governance. That's the solution.
You can look at it this way too. But anyways, these are the kinds of things I'm trying to build. But yeah, I'm trying to delegate as much as I can as bit to AI these days, because it's saving a lot of my time.
Something that you brought, that you did here with this specific website for a change is a very interesting idea. And I think actually there's something there, like this could be a pathway for proposals to do something like this, where, especially if you're asking for big money at the Treasury to put up a website to sort of crowdfund your idea, shouldn't be that much of a lift if you're asking for 1 million, 2 million ADA from the Treasury. So I like this concept. I think this is something that could be very well replicated successfully.
Yeah, this could totally, I built this with in mind for the parameters, but I could totally see like constitutional changes in here, or even like Treasury funding requests, like the Kickstarter idea you're talking about. So maybe there can be some expansion room for that. But yeah, this is just a mock-up right now. So I was trying to put together what it would look like, see if it made sense. And it made sense in my head, so I had to.
Make sense in my head.
I mean, Ryan, you've been pushing like the conversation of the parameters and your points of view. So I think this is super cool, because you are not depending on anyone and like to, make the info action, or like making the changing the parameters. So like, thank you for your work, bro.
Oh yeah, thank you. Actually, like the background for this one, if like the parameter change on right now, the Plutus cost model change, that actually started in like 2023, and it's just now on chain like 2 years later. And then you don't even get me started on like K and min pool cost and all these other ones that we've been talking about for 4 or 5 years. But if you want to get a parameter change on Cardano, it's like pulling teeth trying to get all the stuff together. So this is that's why it's called fast track, to just get it done and get it on chain. And the people can vote against it and shoot it down once it's on chain. But getting it to the point where it's on chain is just so much of a heavy lift.
I'm interested to see how Utah's min committee size per annum change goes.
So actually, the technical steering committee was already planning that before he came out and did it. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
One thing, the next constitutional amendments working group call is this Thursday. Actually, it's every Thursday at 9 a.m. UTC. You can find the link on the Intersect server or ping us and we'll share it. It's just interesting. I think I hopped over that section of my notes, but it's interesting how Thomas is creating a framework for constitutional amendments. So it's not to do with the tooling at all. It's the legal side of it. So like a framework for changing things that, as we know, the chain is not going to necessarily respect. It's just like that working group's approach and the one that you're going to drive by or direct themselves by. And it's a derivation of what is the SIP proposal process. So yeah, come by if you're curious. There's a lot of documents. Gintama is most in the detail, I think, from this group, in the detail of that. So yeah, maybe, like I said, let's meet on the 45p Discord server on that channel. If you have any questions, there's also the Google Sheet where you can DM, where you can find everyone else to DM. And yeah, it was a great discussion. Thank you so much. Time is always short, but yeah, I hope it's the first of many calls, because personally, I am building on Cardano, or trying to create more of an education service provider for real world businesses. And I feel like governance is something that we really need to tackle. It's going to be a part of our mission as well to facilitate this from now on. Although we're not funded, but no one is like directly funding to be on this call. And I feel like it's going to be an interesting journey. Thank you. Any thoughts from anyone before we go?
No, yeah, just thanks everyone.
I just want to share two links. I put them in the chat for Ryan. One is Thomas, we spoke about before, put together a governance submission builder that he's sort of MVP'd. So there might be something in there for you to look at. He's trying to cover all of the different types of actions. And then the other thing is the Sunday Swap Finance co-sponsor contract, which is something that Sunday Labs put together, which is a way, was supposed to be a way to crowdfund for the 100,000 ADA deposit.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was planning to use, because it's open source. Cool. I was just going to copy and paste it. So
yeah, all right, good. You already know about it. Cool. I was just sharing.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yep.
Cool. Great stuff, guys. See you in a week. See you around.
Take care. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
See you, everyone.